Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to episode 53 of the Brighter Horizons podcast. Today, we're going to be talking about pushing past your limits, which is very critical in life. 2, the story of how I was not so Brighter Horizons this week. And 3, why you need to be more of a chill guy. But we'll get into that later. But first and foremost, we need to issue a formal apology here, as we have been pursuing some difficult challenges right now. We've been facing some interesting tasks. And, you know, we've talked about how we hit slumps every once in a while. This week was a bit of a slump, and we did not get an episode out. We did not get any TikToks out. But the most important thing in this is to take self-accountability, responsibility. It's on us to continue to do this. So to all of you out there who are waiting for an episode and didn't get one, our humblest apologies. What do you got to say, broski?
Well, I mean, summarized it pretty well. We've been busy in one sense, but I think it was a lot of procrastination and poor time management.
Bro, why don't you tell them what happened yesterday to you? What you spent your entire day doing?
Oh, well, actually, I don't know if I can really get into it too much, but
yeah, I guess there is like implications.
yeah.
But you can give a general
I'll give a brief
explanation.
description. So we had a networking night for my school, and you know, this club that I'm in, we hosted it. I was actually emceeing the event. Yeah, I know, I'm the GOAT.
Big flex,
Everybody
big flex.
knows. But we had a couple industry professionals come in to help with our networking, you know, having students connect with industry professionals. However, unfortunately, 3 of our industry professionals, I'm not going to say from which company, no-showed on us. And it was very rough because we also had one person come in late. So these people really held out on us, and we worked really hard for the event, and everything kind of hit the wall right away. And we were really just scrambling to try and get this thing to work out. It was a 3-hour event. And by hour almost 2, we only had 2 out of our 5 industry professionals.
That's so cooked.
And that was really bad. So took a lot of adapting, took a lot of time. We made it work in the end, but my God, it was a stressful time. And, you know, I was at school that day from 7 in the morning until 9 at night.
Yeah.
It was a 14-hour day at school. And actual working almost the entire time. I didn't actually chill at all. I took a break to eat once, and that was it. The rest of it was just straight work. So quite a day indeed, but I think that was a big, large sum of the time that we were actually going to record that day, but that kind of fell on that. And I think a lot of events are taking place. It's final season coming in now for university, so this is my first final season. You know, I'm about to go through the trenches, as many people have told me, but yeah, I think it's just been busy week after busy week. But that's no excuse. We're going to keep working hard to try and get these videos out for you guys. You know, that's like one of the number one most important things right now is, you know, this podcast pushing that positive message. But
we are so close to hitting some milestones, and I really want to make that happen. I'm not going to say which ones, so that when we get there, we can celebrate. But I think that the most important thing when you hit these spots is just take your own advice, because I guarantee you when you're on those good parts in life, you tell yourself, man, bad things are going to happen. I just got to stay positive, and I'll get back to this good spot. And that's exactly what I find myself saying as, you know, we go through these periods of time where you don't enjoy doing it as much, or you just feel lazy or procrastinate or put things off. In that case scenario, you just got to be your own motivator, your own, you know, I guess a life coach in that sense. You got to tell yourself what you got to do and get after it. And most importantly, catch up. You got to play catch up in those situations where you're falling behind. You got to work 10 times as hard in that situation to really get back to where you normally would have been if you just handled your responsibilities. So I guess apologies out of the way. Let's get into how our life has been and things that you guys can do to push past your limits. First and foremost, I have a question to pose to you.
yeah.
Who decides what you're capable of?
Oh man, this sucks.
Why? You had a really good thing to say, but you forgot.
No, I have I guess it was you know what? I'll actually go straight to a quote, actually.
Okay.
And
okay.
it's actually not necessarily a quote, because the quote is just who decides your limit. But it's rather a point in a story. So if any of you have watched One Punch Man, in season 2, there's actually a moment where they're talking about one of the characters, and he's kind of just a normal guy. Like he doesn't have any cool superpowers or anything.
My goat.
Right? So this guy chooses to be a hero, and he doesn't have any like superpowers or anything. But oh wait, actually, you might be thinking about somebody else.
Oh, I might be.
You might be thinking about somebody else. But he's just a regular dude, but he's like a pretty good hero. Like I'm not talking about Movement Rider, just so we're clear.
Then
I'm talking about the guy's name is literally Glasses. But he like helps when they're fighting Garo, like the A-tier heroes.
I don't
This is
really
very
remember.
niche. If you guys don't know what I'm talking about, I'm sorry. But anyway, the story goes that he's about to die to a monster, and then, he was working with all these other heroes, but the heroes called him weak because he sucks, because he doesn't have any powers. And then, Saitama does his thing, one punches the monster, and then the guy's just sitting there in the corner. He's like crying, and he's like, dude, I'm at my limit. I can't be any better. Everybody else is so much stronger than me. Everybody else has powers. I'm not going to be anything. And then, Saitama's like, who decides your limit? Right? And then I was like, damn, he kind of spitting. Like, I mean, this is a guy, because literally he's limitless. He's just some random dude who did a bunch of push-ups and sit-ups and squats and now is the strongest being to exist.
Yeah, for reference, this show is essentially about just an average guy who happens to run into a monster one day, and then after that, he just starts training like crazy, runs a 10K every day, hundreds of push-ups. Wait, no,
it's
100 push-ups.
100 push-ups, 100 sit-ups,
sit-ups.
100 squats, and 10K run. Like, that's not that even crazy of a training regimen, but somehow he becomes, like,
The strongest
guy in the universe. So, if anything, I mean, I'd say that's a pretty motivating story right there in and of itself. But I don't think that a limit is something you can actually determine. I think it's actually an undeterminable thing. Like, you'll never actually reach it. If you really want to think about it, take, like, calculus, for example, right? A lot of the time when you're talking about, like, you can estimate, what's it going to approach, right, when it gets there, when it's, going there, but it never really hits it.
Damn,
right?
That's crazy.
And I think that it gets exponentially harder to hit it as time goes on, because I don't think we're meant to. And I know that sounds crazy, but I don't think we're meant to reach the ceiling. Sounds crazy, right? But I think that, like, even the people who have done it all, who have, like, succeeded, and, like, I think when people say push past their limits, they don't mean, like, the limit of the human body or the limit of the human mind, right? They mean the limits that they set on themselves, right? Once you free yourself from what you've set yourself onto, that's when people say you've beat your limits. But, like, true limits, I don't think there's something that you actually surpass. And I don't think that there's anything to fear in that, because the ultimate limit to pass is perfection. That's what the ultimate limit is, right? The ultimate limiting factor is perfection. But we're not perfect. We'll never be perfect. So I think that's the one. I wouldn't want to call it a ceiling, because, the saying, how can you see that, the sky is the highest when there's footprints on the moon, right? I'd say that that's the universal ceiling.
Damn, I'm not gonna lie, that's a tough quote. I definitely should have used that for quote of the week. Damn,
What? Oh,
that's tough.
well, I said it, so you can't use it.
Well, you said I can't use it?
Yeah, because I said it now.
Well, yeah, that's what I mean. I said
yeah.
I should have used it.
That's
But either way, I mean, that's a very good point. My whole reason in asking you that question is, if you think about it, when I say, let's say I set out to run a marathon, people will tell me, you have no running training, you can't do that. Okay? And I go run it anyways. In this case scenario, all you have is two conflicting opinions. There's no set in stone fact about what I can or can't do. It's just their opinion saying I can't do it, my opinion saying I can. So if I decide to align with my views, somehow my mind and body will find a way to power through it and accomplish it. Whereas if I listen to the haters, the doubters who say you can't do that, all that's going to happen is I'm going to fall into this own self-doubt, which will cripple me. Not believing in yourself is shooting yourself in the foot. Take that to heart. In this case scenario, 99% of us take the safe option, or we think that we're not capable. And that's why your life is not where you want it to be. It's because every time you want to attempt something new, you just tell yourself, I can't do it. And I don't like saying it over and over again because it's kind of cliche. Everyone has always said, believe in yourself and things will turn out fine. But nobody understands how true it is until you go and do something crazy. Until you go out there and try something you thought you'd never be able to achieve and do it simply because you said, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do this, I am going to do this.
You know what I think that people need to do more often? And you literally just touched on it a little bit earlier, is take your own advice. Like, genuinely, if you sat down in the mirror and looked at your own life and you were like, hey, what should I really do? I'm willing to bet you have a good answer. And I know this because so many times, how many times, if you ask yourself, has a friend asked you for help, right? It's probably happened a decent amount of times. Most people have had somebody in their life come up to them and be like, hey man, I got some kind of conundrum. Can you help me out? That happens more often than you might think. So for you to think that I don't understand it, I'm lost, I'm confused, it's just that you're not quite clear with yourself. Because sometimes it's easier to reflect on somebody else's scenario than it is to do on your own, right? Your own scenarios are usually the muddiest because they're the ones that are, filled with your own I want to say like distortions.
Yeah.
Right? You look at the world through your lens, and that leads to you not being so clear with yourself. But it's easy to look into somebody else's life and nitpick all the small things. But you can't do that for yourself. Or most people choose not to do that for themselves. So if you do that, then you can pick out, where do I actually need to improve? Where do I need to get better? That's the most important thing, is just self-reflection. That's, I'd say, the key to success. And we've talked about it a million times. And I'll say it 1,000,001 times. You need to self-reflect. You need to take a good look in the mirror and see, hey, where am I and where do I want to go from here?
Yeah, I honestly couldn't agree more. It's interesting because when you're in your own head, you mess up the most. You exaggerate a lot of problems because if you think about it, how many times do I sit here? Like, I'll be honest with you guys. I have problems. We all do. But when I'm thinking about some of them, my mind gets stuck in the loop of, oh, this is the worst thing ever. This is the most sucky situation I've ever been in. But then what happens? On the way home from school or on a drive, I'll simply lay it on you, be like, yo, this happened. And I am super ticked off. I'm angry. I'm in my own head. I might be down in the dumps about it. And you'll be like, bro, the answer is right here. Like, what are you talking about? It's not that deep. When you say the problem to somebody else, immediately they seem to have an answer. Why is that? It's because your mind is exaggerating how bad a lot of these things are. Because that's a way of limiting yourself. It's often by putting the blame on your circumstances. That's how you get out of taking the blame, taking the responsibility. Yeah, sometimes it's not your fault. Sometimes there's a lot of external factors that you can't really control. Mm-hmm. But thinking about them and exaggerating your problems so that you don't feel the blame, tell me, is that really making your problems better?
No.
Not at all, man. You sitting here saying it's not my fault is not fixing your life. So instead of sitting here and just constantly avoiding it, take some responsibility and just take action.
I think that the main issue that people have is they are willing to look at the problem but not understand it. And it's like art. I think your problems are kind of like art, right? It's in the eye of the beholder. Whoever paints it is what understands what it means, right? How many times have you looked at an art piece and been like, yo, that's the biggest piece of garbage I ever seen in my life?
Hella.
Right? You see it all the time. All the time you look. Modern art, I don't know about that stuff. Like, I've seen some of that.
There's a guy who literally taped a banana to a wall and sold it for $6 million.
That's, like, unbelievable. Honestly, like, first off, fair play. Like, that guy found the game.
Finesse the system.
He found the game and he played it. Like, I have full respect for that. Or, like, that dude who tipped over a bunch of buckets of sand. And I was just like, I guess, man, that's cool. And people are applauding and everything. I'm like, I just don't understand it.
But, like, some performative art pieces are really cool. Like, have you seen that one where it's like a staircase?
Yeah, and he falls off. And
he
like,
walks up,
yeah.
falls down, falls back,
that's cool.
falls down. That is cool. That represents life. But buckets of sand and
like,
a banana
I saw
on the
some
wall?
dude, he had, like, a rock or something that had, like, ink in it. And he just slammed it on, like, another rock and then just mixed it around. And I was just like, what are we doing here? Maybe
Vincent Van Gogh did not cut off his ears for this,
he didn't do this all for that. He didn't, like... They didn't paint all these nice portraits for this. I don't know. The Mona Lisa was not made for this. But
yeah.
In any case, where was I going with this? Oh, yeah, modern art. So when you look at your problems, sometimes it's just you're not taking the time to understand them. You see it as this big abstract image that's like all these different, situations and errors, mistakes that you've made, and you're just like, oh my God, I'm so screwed. I don't get it. But like, if you really took a moment to genuinely focus on it and be like, hey, what's really going on here, and you took the time to understand it, you'd find a lot more like depth and meaning to your problems. And one thing is that I think problems are like a web, that they're all at some degree interconnected. So when you look at your life and you'll be like, one thing's happening over here, maybe your relationship's going bad, but also on this end, oh my God, my grades are going down. So you're like, what do I do? And the truth is that the two are kind of reliant on each other, that in one, they're both putting mental stress on each other. So I don't think you can tackle your problems just by looking at one, by just taking one avenue and ignoring the rest. I think you need to look at yourself as a whole, take into account all the abstract images of problems and try to formulate what is going on. I was talking with one of my friends the other day, and he said something to me that it stuck with me, but it confused me for a bit, right? He said that a lot of people, try to accept what's happened to them, right? The bad things that have happened, they accept them. But he says that sometimes I can't accept things, so I just choose to acknowledge them, right? To say that, hey, you're in the room with me, but I'm not going to be happy with you, right? This has happened to me, but I don't want to accept it as, it's happened, it is what it is. But Or at least this was my understanding of it. And I sat there and I wondered about it. I didn't really get to get a word off about it because he dropped me off. But I sat there really thinking about it. And I was like, can we live our lives like that? Can we really just acknowledge the problem and expect it to go away? Right? It doesn't really make sense. If somebody else is in the room with you and you're sitting there and you're like, you acknowledge that they exist, but you still sit there without saying a word, do you think that that's a comfortable situation to be in? Right? So I wondered it. I really thought about it. And I thought that maybe we can't simply acknowledge our problems. That sometimes we need to accept it.
Yeah.
That's reality. Reality is that bad things are going to happen. Bad things are going to be around you. So you need to accept those bad things. And that's hard. That's so difficult. Like, imagine if somebody takes something from you that you love and you just have to accept that. That's crazy. That's difficult. That's not an easy thing to do. Nobody said it was going to be easy. I think it's one of the hardest things you could actually do.
Yeah.
But if you can learn to accept, that's where you'll find grace, peace, and happiness, right? That's where you'll find true improvement, is when you learn to accept what has happened and learn how to move forward.
You know something that makes me really sad? This is like a completely unrelated thing, okay? I'm going to tell you who I'm thinking about, and I want you to tell me if you understand why I said it, okay?
Okay.
The story of Conor McGregor.
I mean, I don't see how it's like
Connected at all, right?
connecting for the most part right now.
It's because of something I said about a minute ago. I said Vincent Van Gogh did not cut off his ear because of this.
Yeah.
Have you heard of the clip about Conor McGregor comparing himself to Vincent Van Gogh? So this is several years ago, before he was, Conor McGregor, champion of the UFC, beloved by everyone who's ever watched the sport. When he was first starting out, he said to a reporter that just like Vincent Van Gogh lost his mind, so have I doing this sport or something. And he said that I've gone mad, I've trained like crazy, but I will say that eventually when my kids have kids have anything that they've ever wanted, when my girlfriend has a car to drive for every day of the week, when my mom has a big fancy house, then I'll be happy. Then it will pay. And when I thought about that, it just made me so sad to see where he is today. Do you know like the whole situation with him?
Not like much, I want to say. Like, yeah, I don't really know.
I mean, recently he was taken to court for something that happened apparently 6 years ago. It's quite a tragic scene, but I think that they found him guilty on the charges.
Do you know what the charges were?
Yeah, I believe it was something that rhymes with grape, if I'm not wrong. So I feel bad because that kind of success, like who he is now, is such a shell of who he used to be. And that's the thing. I don't think that people acknowledge enough about what happens when you reach the top. Like, I think you really, really, like, that's the point where you have to be the most careful, which is so ironic because you spend your whole life working to achieve this goal. And then once you get there, if you're not really, really careful, you're going to slip and fall. It's like getting to the summit of a mountain and taking a bunch of pictures on the edge without thinking you're going to fall because you've climbed the whole mountain. You're on that high. And if you look at who he is now, like, if you look at the facial structure of Conor McGregor, already you can tell that he's on roids for sure. Like, did you know that? Based on his...
You can even tell from his build now.
Exactly. He's very, very different. And on top of that, he's like partying every other weekend. And like, in my opinion, if that's what you want to do, that's what you want to do. But if you look at an old clip of McGregor, somebody said, so what are you going to do after you've won this championship? Are you going to go party? He was like, partying is weakness for the soul. So I don't do that. But now look at where he is. So, I mean, it's kind of a side tangent, but to all of you out there listening, when you achieve those goals, you got to be careful. Don't let it get to your head. Stay level-headed and just be yourself. Don't let this stuff get there.
I think that, especially with success, people get caught up in the idea of, I need to do what other successful people do, right? Just because he's rich and partying means that I should probably be rich and partying too, right? But if that's not what you want to do, then why would you do it? Right? Like, I'll speak from like experience. If like, no matter what other people do, you need to understand that it's up to you to decide where you want to go, right? If every single person around you is doing something, but you don't feel like doing it, it's like the basics of peer pressure. Everybody knows this, right? You can't really lose sight of who you are. Once you do that, it's game. Yeah. That's like the best way that I can put it, is losing yourself is the lowest of the low. You can lose everything, But the biggest thing is losing yourself. Once you do that, that's everything. I guess.
There's literally a quote that says, "For what is a man if he gains the world but loses his soul?"
I've never heard that. Who said that?
I don't
That's
know.
A good
I feel
quote.
like it's something that came from the Bible, but I could be wrong. Could be 100% wrong. I don't actually know.
Yeah.
But Loki, I should use that as a quote of the week. Damn, so many good
Yeah,
quotes
a
being
lot of
dropped in
good
this
quotes.
episode. But it's just so tragic to see that. But, at the end of the day, when a star steps off a stage, it opens up a spot for somebody new. There's always going to be new people climbing through the ranks. And who knows, if you're out there, maybe it could be you. I don't know. But at the end of the day, chase your dreams, accomplish them, but don't let it get to your head. And now we need to talk about one thing that happened this weekend. The Darker Horizons moment. Because that's just the best way I can call it. Because I'm going to be honest with you guys, there was a situation this weekend that I'm not very proud of. I may have done some things that I don't want to say I regret, but I definitely could have handled the situation a lot better than I did. All right. So for context, Saturday was our father's birthday. Happy birthday, Papa. Greatly appreciate you. He's probably still at work.
Technically, his birthday was yesterday.
Real birthday was yesterday.
Party was on the Saturday.
Yeah. So everyone, wish him a happy birthday. Appreciate it. But his party was on Saturday, and we were, prepping and stuff. And the day before this, I had a really bad night. One of those nights where, like I said in the intro to this episode, sometimes you're in your own head. You're over-exaggerating your problems. That was me. Up until around 2 o'clock in the morning, I'm arguing with somebody, and I'm just really, really angry. And I couldn't go to sleep. I'm just in my own head wondering what is wrong with me and feeling really, really angry and depressed about my life right now. And then I woke up the next morning super angry as well. I jumped out of bed angry. And I'm getting ready, and I'm thinking to myself, bro, if somebody says something bad to me, I don't know what I'm going to do. But things are not going to go well. Lo and behold, something happened. So I go downstairs, make my breakfast. I'm eating my eggs. Everything's chill. And then I go to put some waffles in the toaster because I need more calories, because I got my protein from my eggs, but I need some calories. So I throw some waffles in the toaster. I'm chilling there. And somebody came into my house to help with some setup, and they made a kind of a joking comment about my appearance. And I did not take that lightly at all, because I was not in a joking mood, and I was not ready to deal with that kind of a comment first thing in the morning, especially when I just said, if somebody says something wrong to me today, they're not leaving with all of their teeth. That was literally my thought process there. So I didn't say anything in the moment. I didn't know what to say. I was so angry that I just held back for a second. I was like, all right, let's just calm down for a minute. I grabbed my waffles, walked out, slammed the door, and just sat down and ate my waffles on the balcony so I could clear my head. I'm chilling. I'm still angry about this the whole day, okay? I did not let go of it. But I managed to just move on from it and say to myself, all right, he didn't mean it. I'm just going to stay chill. Later at night when he comes back for the party, I'm not going to say anything. I'm just going to pretend that it didn't happen because I am Mr. Brighter Horizons. I have got to keep a level head, and I can't be arguing with people. But then it happened again. That sent me over the edge. When he came back the second time, he said it again. That pissed me off so much that I actually thought that I would get into a fight, okay? But what I did was I laced up my running shoes and went for a run in the middle of this party, okay? There's like 70 people at our house, and I'm going for a run. Why? Because I want to clear my head before I come back. And even after that 30-minute run, I came back, and I still pulled him out onto the balcony and yelled at him for what he said to me, okay? That was not meant with ill intention. Not at all. He was just making a joke, but in that situation, I got so viscerally angry that I had to say something. I'd say there would have been a better way to phrase it. I definitely would have still said something, even if I was fully calm and nothing had happened. I would have said something, just so that he doesn't make that mistake to other people. Because it's funny, the following day, my parents, they didn't chew me out, but they told me that I could have handled that better. And they told me about a story about something that my father did several years ago, where he made a comment to someone as a complete joke, but he didn't understand that it was wrong. So I should have been the bigger person to understand in that situation. Yo, I just got to tell this guy that he shouldn't do that to other people. But no, I went off. I completely flamed him. And if for some reason he's watching this, or if somebody who knows what I'm talking about is watching this, I sincerely apologize. All right. But at the end of the day, everyone has these moments, these outbursts, right? Where you don't really control yourself and you kind of go off the rails. I'd say in the past year, I don't think I've had that kind of an outburst, especially at anyone outside of outside of you. You're like the only person I would actually get mad at because I know that you and I can fight and we're still good.
Yeah.
But the strangers outside, if I get mad at them, that's a different story. So this is like the first proper outbreak like that I've had in a very, very long time. But that's the thing. Nobody's perfect, man. I'm not going to sit here and claim to be some god who's mastered all his emotions. Hell no. We get into fights, we yell at people, but that's how it is. You just got to apologize and take a step back. And the thing is, in the moment, I felt really, really good. Really good about myself. That's the dangerous part about getting mad at people and picking fights. In the moment, you feel so good. You think, I stood up for myself. I told that guy off for saying something bad to me. But then a couple days later, I'm driving to school, and I just got this wave of guilt wash over me. And I couldn't understand why. And I just had to dig into the depths of my soul and reflect on it. And I realized that in that moment, I wasn't me. That's not how I handled these situations. So I felt guilty. And that's the thing. Later on, you reflect on it. You're like, man, that's not who I am. And so as I sat in the car driving to school, I just had to figure out a way to get these thoughts out of my brain because I figured, dude, this is like something I should definitely talk about on this week's episode. And so I hit the record button on my phone using speech to text. I recorded this excerpt of something that I said on the way to school about how dangerous your mind can be. I said, your mind is a tool of infinite creation, but it can also be a tool of infinite destruction. These thoughts, the way they are generated, is almost magical. You cannot always control what your brain thinks up, and at times this innovation is fantastic for coming up with new leads and inventions to revolutionize the world we live in. But you must also realize that these thoughts at times may be irrational and absurd. If you embrace these ideas, these irrational thoughts, you will continue to live a crazy and angry life. Instead, take a step back, analyze your thoughts, and think about where they are coming from and whether or not you should pay attention to them. That was completely freestyled off the dome, by the way. In the car ride, I just hit the record button and talked. That's it. There was no prep, there was no research, there was no professional writing in that. That was just how I was feeling. So the next time you have a crazy thought, man, relax. Take a step back and think about it because your brain can come up with so many ideas. Think about it. There's no machinery behind how the brain comes up with a thought. It just does. For example, you're walking down the street, or let's say you're driving. This is an irrational thought and literally everyone has. What would happen if I just rear-end that person right now? What would happen if I just swerve and crash the car? People think this all the time.
I mean, like, intrusive thoughts. Yeah, I guess.
But see, that's the point. It's still a thought. My point is, your brain comes up with these random thoughts, so you can't listen to all of them. Just like you dismiss these irrational thoughts of what the hell is wrong with me? Why am I thinking that? You got to take a step back and analyze some of these thoughts that are also irrational, just not as intrusive as those ones.
Yeah, I completely agree. I think, actually, okay, my question to you is, you said that I would have done it anyway, even if I was level-headed.
Yeah.
Right? You still would have taken him out to have the conversation. Do you think that's the best action for you? For you?
Yeah.
Okay.
The reason why I say that is, even though I said I would have taken him out onto the balcony, I would have talked rather than, I'd say I berated him. That's the difference.
Yeah, okay,
I was going
get that,
at him.
Right? My thing is, do you think that he won't do that to somebody else?
Maybe if I said things in a better light, he would understand that things are wrong. Like, for example, with our own father, after my mom told him that night, what you said was wrong, he hasn't made a mistake like that. Well, actually, I can't say that. I don't know his life. But I know for the most part that he's improved in that aspect. You're not really going to change something that's been a part of you forever if someone doesn't tell you that it's wrong.
Yeah, I know. I completely agree. It's just, I don't know. I feel like, I don't know, maybe I just conduct my life differently.
See, but that's my thing. I feel like it's not fair for us to sit here and consistently get walked on. Because while I believe it's important to be peaceful.
No. Whoa. Walked on is something you allow to happen to you. You don't get walked on by people. You let yourself get walked on by people.
Nah, that's crazy.
If you say something to me, I'm not going to cripple and break down. You know how many terrible things you've said to me, and I've said terrible things to you, but we're still sitting here, right? You're still my brother at the end of the day. At the end of the day, I'm never going to hold anything against you. You know how many times people have said hurtful things to me? I couldn't count on my hands and toes. Nobody can. Everybody knows that it's an infinite amount of time, or a super large amount of times. And yet, I'm still standing. I'm still smiling. I think, and I'm not, okay, first off, I want to put this out there, that I'm not saying that if somebody says something mean to you, it's not their fault. It's like, for example, Ben Shapiro, I don't know why I want to quote this guy right now, but Ben Shapiro used the example. He's like, yeah, at the end of the day, theft is theft. But if you walk around, like, I want to think of like a good,
waving your wallet around in a crime
heavy
neighborhood.
Like, exactly. If you go around waving $100 bills in a crime heavy neighborhood, you're going to get robbed, right? So my thing is, if you need to have the ability to not let people hurt you, and it's very real ability. Like, like as I've talked about it, I don't really get too sad anymore. There's only one instance where I actually felt sad recently, and I kind of, like, I don't want to say even sad. I felt like it was like a slight twitch. I don't know how to explain it, but it was like a little thing in like the edge of my brain that was just like kind of knocking, being like, hey man, think about this. And it was just there, like a little voice in my head.
Was it because the Canucks lost to the Poverty Penguins?
No, that's a different kind of sadness. Like, that doesn't even count. I don't even know what to call that. That was unbelievable. But little guy just knocking on the edge of my brain, saying, hey man, I'm here. And I tried to keep it out, but eventually, I kind of gave in a little bit. I listened to it, and I was like, oh man, okay, that kind of sucks. But that was a small moment. For the most part, and that was like an event rather than somebody saying something to me. Because all the time, people are going to say things to you, man. And the truth is, I get your point. I get your point completely. And I don't have a problem with what you did. I'll never say that. But in your entire life, if you seek to change everybody around you, I think that that's a futile effort.
I don't disagree with you, but let me ask you this then. Is it fair for us to not say something to the people who need to hear it if their actions could harm other individuals who aren't as strong as us?
I believe that, yeah, it's okay. Like, again, as I said, I don't disagree with what you did. It's just, I wonder sometimes whether it's in our best interest. And that sounds weird. I don't know, because I get it. I get it 100%. Like, yeah, we're meant to tell people when they do wrong things. But a lot of the times, I wonder whether we're actually getting through or if we're just letting ourselves say it out loud.
Maybe, but I think that if you say it right, there's not really a harm in doing so, because not only do you get what you wanted to say off your chest in a respectable fashion, not one where you get angry at the person, but also you could save somebody a lot of hurt. For example, I'd say low-key for me, it might have happened to me before and I just didn't really connect the dots on it. But as I've grown older, this is the first time where it's happened where I actually understood what happened, that time where we got racially profiled, right? When I thought about that instance, I understood why people take that thing as seriously as they do, right? And more importantly to me, right after that, what happened? We called and said, yo, this happened in your store. You better be careful, because if you say that to another person, it could really, really hurt their feelings. So us telling them that could have stopped somebody else from getting racially profiled. But if you never said anything because it's not in your best interest, or in your opinion, you can just let it go, yeah, it's fine for you, but I don't think you make a difference in the world. Somebody else could be treated the exact same way. That's at least my way of thinking about it. Like, I think that it's important to preserve your peace and not get disturbed over somebody else's comments.
The reason I bring it up is that, like, I don't know, maybe it's just my way of living life, but like, I genuinely can't take it seriously when people say things to me like that. Like, when people say negative things to me, it's like water on a duck's back, It just rolls off. It doesn't stick at all. Like, genuinely, I would challenge somebody to sit down, say things to me until I break, because I don't think it would happen. I don't think it would genuinely happen.
It's funny. A smile is slowly creeping on my face because I just played out a scenario where you're sat down and I'm insulting you. The craziest thing is, based on who you are, I know your first response is to burst out laughing. You're not gonna sit there and actually.
Yeah, I wouldn't take it seriously. That's my thing, right? Firstly, it's like, I think that intention is a funny thing. The idea is that even though the other person's intention might be to insult you, my intention is to take it as a joke. And in the end, like, it kind of helps both of us. That person, like, for example, suppose that, you got really angry about the comment, and you're completely in the right, right? But you snap back at him, and then he snaps back at you. And now the situation's extremely escalated, right?
Yeah,
You're
true,
like,
true.
right? So it's very lucky. I don't want to say lucky because I think 9 times out of 10, they're going to understand.
In
right?
that situation, though, if he said something back, we definitely would have had a problem because I was not thinking straight. 1,000%, I would have. I don't know if I would have gotten into like a physical altercation, but I would have continued to say things that I would regret later down the line.
Yeah,
for sure.
So I think that like learning that level-headedness, learning how to be a chill guy is extremely important. You know, you alluded to it at the beginning of the episode. And you know what? I think this is one of the big trends I could really hop on.
Dude, that's so crazy. That's exactly what I wanted to talk about.
Yeah, and I think in a weird way, because I've seen like some of the other stuff, like, oh, you know, my girlfriend's mad at me because I'm neglecting her, but I'm just a chill guy. And I'm like, well, like, come on, guys. But if you really take it to heart, that idea is so good. Like, have you seen like Noel's video on it?
No.
Well, he posted like it's like a short video, and he's just like walking around the gym, and like bad stuff happened, and he's like, I'm just a chill guy, you know. Like he spills his water on himself, and he's like, and his friend's like, oh my god, dude, that sucks. And then he like goes to and there's no parking, and then he's like, oh my god, bro, there's no parking, this sucks. And he's like, man, I don't really care, I'm just a chill guy, right? And I love that. I love this new trend. I think it's a really good thing if you do it right. But being a chill guy doesn't mean you don't have any negativity, or you don't even acknowledge the things around you, because that's being an idiot. That's what that's called. Okay, being a chill guy means allowing these thoughts to exist, but not letting them control your life. You know, there's a quote that said. Actually, let me quickly pull up this quote.
Go ahead.
Give me 1 second.
It's so funny because the reason why I wanted to talk about this is literally because, first of all, it's a meme that took over the whole internet, but it's a positive meme. And the crazy thing is I saw a guy who overanalyzed this meme. He was like, dude, when you see the chill guy meme, this is a whole shift in male perspective. We're seeing a paradigm shift in society. When he said that, I was like, okay, Brody, you got to take a step back.
I think he's right.
No, okay. I'm saying his underlying thoughts are correct. Like, even when I thought to myself, what is this guy yapping about? I definitely understood what he meant because I agree with it. That's why I'm talking about it. But the way he phrased it made it sound as if like everybody's mindset is going in a completely different direction, which it's not, right? That's why we still have memes where people are like, my ex-wife contacted me because I haven't paid alimony, but I'm just a chill guy. Like, bro, come on, man.
I think that the issue with these memes and stuff is that they're way too short-lived, right? That's why I think people like, for example, Andrew Tate had such a big influence is because he stuck around for a bit.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, even then, it's much shorter than usual. Like, usually these big icons are lasting for years on years. Like, take the pioneers of YouTube, right? These guys are still remembered today.
Yeah.
Right? Because they had such, I mean, today by the older generation, but you know what I mean, right? I think as time goes on, people forget others a lot quicker. Like, think about the OGs, right? The people from way back when. They're still remembered hundreds of years later, right? Right? Like,
That's
take, like,
crazy.
Julius Caesar, for example. We still remember. Even if you don't want to go that far back, take, like, Abe Lincoln or George Washington, right? These guys aren't that long ago.
Martin Luther King.
Right?
Yeah.
And we weren't around when they were around.
Hell no.
Right? We were born after they died. But yet we still know them. But you take a lot of the people that others consider icons, right? They get remembered for maybe 10, 15 years, and then the new generation comes in, they don't remember. And I talked about, did I talk about it? How I was on a post, and somebody posted this picture of Ryan Higa, and then somebody in the comments commented, who is that? Is that Rice Gum?
That's
and
so
I
crazy.
lost my mind to that. One of the greatest, I think, in my opinion, my personal opinion, the greatest content creator of all time. My favorite content creator of all time.
Yeah.
I don't even think it's a conversation. Like, the only person who I could ever stack up against him is Matt Pat.
I was about to say Matt Pat at the same time because I knew you were going to say that.
Those, and then, like there are close seconds. Like, Dan TDM is a super close second.
I'd say for that one phase that we had, also ignoring any controversy they get involved in. We're talking just about their content.
Yeah.
Popular MMOs.
Yeah, absolutely.
His freaking Lucky Block races.
Those videos were amazing.
That was it.
And then, like, Markiplier's obviously on there for being
FNAF. Like, those videos were crazy.
Yeah. And, like, that's what's crazy to me is that nowadays kids, like, whatever, 10, 15 years later, they don't know who they are. That's insane.
I'm going to tell you guys a crazy story about the difference between content creators now and the difference, or now and then. I'm going to tell you guys something that might be a bit cringe or weird, and like you guys will look at me very differently once I tell you this. But we all have random hobbies, okay? don't take me to be a weirdo for this. When I grew up, when I was a kid, one of my biggest interests was dinosaurs. I love dinosaurs so much. I love Jurassic Park, love Jurassic World when I grew up. But overall, when I was a kid, I was fascinated by them. Ask my parents. They would tell you that I would never stop talking about dinosaurs. And if any of you live in Alberta, there is the Royal Tyrrell Museum, which is dedicated to fossils and dinosaurs. And I went there one time as a kid, and we still have a fridge magnet of me being the same size as a baby Triceratops, petting it on its head and just being me, right? I love dinosaurs so much. So then when I found out later on down the line in about 2015 or 16,
sometime around then, yeah.
When Jurassic World, the game, came out on mobile, when it came out on the App Store, I was, my kid brain just exploded. I was like, oh my God, there's a dinosaur game. I gotta play this. Right? And I was too young to know what Jurassic Park Builder was, but I was old enough to know this game, I can buy dinosaurs. I can literally have my own park. This is dope as hell. So I got it on your iPod Touch. Because I didn't have a phone that was updated enough to have Jurassic World.
You had the iPhone 4, right?
iPhone 4!
That's crazy. Like, now it is...
What, 16? 16!
Like, I know that, like, we sound old now, right? And, like, I'm not even old. That's what's crazy.
21! That is not old.
That's what I'm saying, is we sound like we're old people. Like, back in my day, we were on the iPhone 4. I remember that little brick that's, like... How big was it? It was probably like...
Dude, it was not that big. It was like this big.
Very small.
This big. And the charger was a square. It was a rectangle.
Yeah, the wide
It was not like this. It was like this, bro. Oh my God, man.
And I remember we were sitting in the garage.
Yes, I was about to say that.
And then we were on the rocking horse, the wooden rocking horse. At our old house, we were sitting on that, and I had the game open on my phone, and I remember I was like, low key as a kid, I was a bit of a loser. I'm not gonna lie. I was kind of a jerk. I'm not gonna lie. You know, every younger brother, I think, goes through it, right?
Yeah, every kid.
Every younger brother goes through that phase of I just want to piss my older brother off because I don't like him.
Bro, me and him beefed hard when we were kids.
We had big beef. I remember that. But you know, I think out of the big beef comes like the greatest things.
1000%. And the thing is, even when we were like beefing as kids, we were still closer than ever. Like if you think about those late nights when one of us couldn't fall asleep, we'd run around and play games instead. Yeah, exactly. That's what we did. That's just what, you know, brothers
you know what I remember though?
What?
I remember that one morning where you snitched on... No, I think I snitched on you for having the 3DS? For having the 3DS because you took it from me. He took my 3DS because I had a 3DS. He didn't have a 3DS. He took my 3DS and then... We hid it under the pillow, obviously, as kids do.
Everyone. That's a universal experience.
Like, that was the universe, hiding the DS under the pillow, and then this guy would play, and then I got really mad the next morning, and our mom happened to stay home from work that day, and I was talking to him about, like, I was like, hey, where's my 3DS? Where's my 3DS? And then our mom came in, and he was like, yo, shut up, don't say anything. And then I was like, he took my 3DS and was playing on it last night. Like, I snitched straight up.
I was just trying to play Pokemon Rumble Blast. If any of you know, that game was so goated.
So goated.
This monkey snitched on me, bruh.
Hey, whoa.
No racial implications here. I'm just calling him a monkey.
But yeah, that was, man, good times.
That's
you know what's
what I'm
interesting
saying,
is, you know, they always say, like, you know, iron is forged in fire, right?
Yeah.
So, like, those great relationships are built out of hatred. I want to say almost. Like, genuinely.
Yeah.
Like, we've had... But it's funny now because we get to look back on all these memories and just smile, right?
Yeah.
Like, I remember how excruciating those times were.
Yeah.
When I would get so angry at you, and then we would get beat by our parents because we were beating each other up. Like, that kind of stuff. I remember those days.
Yeah.
And now you see me, I can't stop smiling when talking about that.
Before I get back to my whole Jurassic World story, I'm going to tell you one thing. Do you remember that one time? I think it was because I wouldn't let you play the Wii or the Xbox or something. And you chased me around the house with a knife.
Okay, listen. First off.
Yeah, that happened.
No, that was not. Okay, that happened. I was a kid, and I wasn't going to do anything.
You're just gonna sit there and let some crazy kid run at you with a knife?
No, okay. Like, I don't blame you. Okay, I was 100% in the wrong, but it's not like I was actually.
I know you're not gonna stab me, but as a kid, I see some guy running at me with a knife. Even though you were younger than me, I was not about to run at you when you're holding a giant knife. And it wasn't a small knife. I'm talking like, you know, your kitchen block of knives has that one giant one you use only for cutting meat. This guy picked the biggest knife in the block and started chasing me.
Honestly, I don't even remember what led to that, you know? Like,
I don't know either.
I don't know. How did that happen? See, this is why I'm good now, is because, like, back then I was a bit of a psychopath.
Very much so. I remember sitting in the bathroom, holding the door closed, calling my mom. I'm like, please, he's gonna kill me, help. And he's banging on the door in the background with a knife. God, it's giving me straight up Shining vibes.
That is like, I'm thinking about, that's scary, dude. I'm sorry. Hey, I'm sorry, man. Like, I want to say I'm sorry about that.
Hey, we get
like,
over those.
You know, see, that's the thing. You just got to resolve beef when it comes out. You know, like, as kids, dude, you have some crazy beef. Like, I'm willing to bet we could do an entire episode talking about stories from our childhood.
Yeah.
Like, it's such a rich time. And that's why I fear what a lot of kids go through. And it's the idea that I need to grow up.
Yeah.
Some kids desire the idea of growing up, and it sucks. In my opinion, it actually kind of sucks. Because we always lose sight of what we actually have. And that's a tragedy to me. Because right now, in our lives, we're always seeking the next thing, right? When I'm in high school, I can't wait to go to university. Once I'm in, I can't wait to get a job. But it's like, once you hit the next thing, I would say, you start out at childhood. You always say, I want to grow up, right?
Yeah.
And then once you grow up, you fall into two things. Either I want to be a kid again, or I want to keep going, right? And then you keep going, and then you're like, I want to go back, or I want to keep going. But you never want to just be where you are. Or a lot of people don't. And it's sad because if only we knew we were in the good old times before we actually left them.
Yeah.
Right? So you gotta cherish every single moment of your life.
But you know, in my opinion, I think it's the fact that you don't appreciate them enough when they happen, that when you move down the line, you look back on them and cherish them so much more.
Yeah.
Because you think I didn't get to enjoy it as much as I should have. That thought is what immortalizes these memories that we have. And that's why, like, as I was going back, the difference between content creators then versus now is, you know, exemplified really well with the story that I was telling about how we had this game about dinosaurs, right? You must be thinking, this guy's crazy. What is he talking about? Okay, hang with me. There's a YouTuber by the name of The Gaming Beaver. I don't know how many of you actually know who he is.
He's not a small YouTuber.
He's not a small
big
YouTuber.
but
Let's actually...
But I think he's a niche YouTuber, right? Like, if you didn't watch his...
He has 4 million subs.
Yeah, so he's a big YouTuber.
Yeah, big YouTuber. But when we were kids, he was the only person that I saw that had a gameplay, like a playthrough of Jurassic World the game. So what did I do? I started watching it. First episode, second episode. And I kept going as I watched these videos, and I kept playing the game alongside him. It almost felt like I had a good friend. It wasn't like I was watching some guy play the game on YouTube, like it feels like today. You know, if you compare, let's say, a Fortnite YouTuber nowadays to what we felt when we watched people play Minecraft back in the day, you felt like you were friends with that creator because they were so genuine. Nowadays is different. And I watched this guy play this game for how long? 8 years, maybe? You know how many episodes of Jurassic World the game he uploaded?
How many?
619 episodes.
Right? Like, he did, or it couldn't have been daily.
No. He had periods of time where he played the game a lot, periods of time where he stopped playing it, just back and forth kind of. But either way, I watched almost all of these episodes growing up, and I loved it, right? I played this game alongside this guy, and I'm not gonna be ashamed about that, right? At the end of the day, I grew up with this guy. I grew up with Dan.
You know who I'm surprised that you didn't bring up?
Who?
Purple Rodri?
Purple Rodri! Oh my god!
What? You were the biggest Purple Rodri fan ever, man.
Oh my, Purple Rodri.
Man, he was the guy. I remember, like, the second you get a Pokemon game, first thing you do is you load up Purple Rodri's playthrough of it.
Dude,
and I remember
love that
because
so much.
I remember that we used to always use legendaries on our lineups, but after I watched Purple Rodri, I vowed to stop using legendaries because he always beat games without using any legendaries on his team.
Dude, Purple Rodri, I don't think you will ever see this video.
You'll never see this video.
Wherever you are in the world, I want you to know you changed so many lives, man.
Yeah, bro. We love you, bro. Like,
we all love
honestly,
you. And if you guys haven't watched Purple Rodri's video, there's only one thing I will ask you to watch. Go and watch one of his Pokemon videos. Don't care what it is. Me, personally, I would go watch Heart Gold because that's where it all started for me. But after watching one of those videos and seeing how happy of a guy he is, I want you to go and watch his Draw My Life video. Back when that was popular.
Oh my God. Draw My Life. Oh my God. That feels so long ago, man. Oh my God. Man, I remember watching Ryan Higa's
Draw My Life was also crazy.
Man, that was like I think that was the podcast before podcast. You know, people 100%. Talking about their lives and stuff. Yeah. That's unbelievable.
Yo, low key, just for funsies, I think when we reach like a huge subscriber milestone, I would do a Draw My Life.
That would be cool. But you suck at drawing, so like. Just putting that out there.
This guy is such a hater for no reason. See, the beef still exists.
Yeah, it's got to be there, you know?
But yeah, that's so crazy. I didn't even think about that. Like, you guys don't understand.
Okay, wait. I'm going to, like, check something real quick.
Go for it. Yeah. But as a kid, playing these games and getting stuck was low-key the worst thing ever. So finding someone who played the game and got through it, that meant everything. And that's why, you know, we connect so much with these creators. And nowadays, you just don't get that. Like, I'd say some people are funny and interesting, but you definitely don't like them as much as you used to. What happened?
You remember watching Ryan Higa's Draw My Life when it dropped, right?
Yeah.
Like, we watched it when it came out.
I can still remember the drawings, and I still remember what happened.
Do you know how many years ago that was?
7?
That was 11 years ago.
11 years ago?
That video was 11 years ago. 11 years ago, bro.
What happened?
Dude, you were 10 and I was 7.
That's
happened? Crazy to me. Man, see, this is the thing, is I feel like nowadays people don't, again, like you said, I don't think they connect with content creators anymore. Because there's very few content creators out there that are, like, actually genuine. Like, take the most successful people right now on YouTube, like, I'd say Mr. Beast, Mr. Beast, Kai Cenat, right? Yeah. Even Speed. I hate to be that guy, but I don't think that they're genuine. Like,
yeah, me neither.
Even, like, I'd say Kai, he's, like, the one guy that a lot of people look up to because, like, you know, he's crazy and he does all this stuff. But I don't know. It's, like, there's something about...
I think he's the most genuine of, like, the people we have put on this pedestal,
but the problem is genuine content doesn't work anymore.
Yeah,
right? Because it doesn't spark, it doesn't blow up. That's the thing. It doesn't spark controversy and get you a ton of comments. Genuine content is just... It's outdated almost, but I think there's always going to be a demographic for it. You just have
1,000%. Think about it. I'd say Joe Rogan's content is authentic. It's genuine. It's this guy saying, I'm this guy, this is my guest, and this is who they are. We're going to have a conversation. That genuine content still exists. But the thing is, the growth for it is so much slower. That's why it's unattractive and not very appealing to most people who start content creation. Not to us, though. For me, I'd say that one of my missions in starting this channel or any form of content that I ever produce is going to be bringing back that OG YouTube vibe of you and I are friends. You're not a watcher and I'm not a creator. We're friends taking a journey together. That's my thought process. I'm going to share my experiences with you. You're going to get better and we're going to, you know, have conversations in the comments, learn more and get better together.
Yeah, that's what I would say. Process. Like to all of you guys out there, this isn't a content creator viewer relationship. This is a friend-friend relationship. Yeah. Like, that's what this was meant to be. It's not a place for us to get famous or get popular. And even then, it's not supposed to just be us preaching to you guys like we're teachers or anything. Because I said this from day one. I said that we're learning too, right? We're figuring this out just as much as you guys.
Yeah.
So don't feel like you need to look up at us or even consider us as different, right? We're just like you guys. And we want to be friends with you guys, man. Like, that's what I love about old content creation is that if you took the fans of those people, they would die on the hill for those people.
1,000%.
Think about, like, Dan TDM, right? When he went after KSI and Logan Paul for Lunchly, right?
Everyone had his back.
Everyone had his back. No matter what anybody said, everybody instantly. Like, I didn't see a single person support KSI or Logan Paul. Like, I saw every single person it's like a fire just snapped, and they were like, I'm supporting this guy because they understood that they were real. And this doesn't apply just to content creation. Be a real person. And if people don't like that, then that's fine.
Yeah.
Because those aren't the kind of people that you want around you anyway.
Yeah.
Don't be this person who's always putting up fake personas for other people because we all fall victim to it. I know I've done it myself too. I try to be genuine as much as possible, but sometimes I fall. Like, that's just a part of life. But to think that you need to put up some kind of persona to be around people just means that you're around the wrong people. Because true people are the ones who will stick with you through what you do, right? Yeah. Take Nigi Higa, for example, right? This guy made phenomenal content, and he said, hey, man, you know, my crew is done. I don't want to make these kinds of videos anymore. I'm moving to podcasts, right? It's not like anybody hated him for that.
Yeah.
Instead, they were like, it sucks for us, right? We really want to see more from you.
They were just sad to see him go.
They're sad to see him go, but they still say, that's good, man. You know, at least, like, I, as a fan of this guy, you know, growing up watching this guy's videos, I remember coming home from school with my friend, and we'd immediately run to our computer room, boot up the computer and start watching. Because, we didn't have iPhones and iPads to watch it on.
We had to watch it on darn kids have it so good.
We had one computer in the house to watch it on. So they would come over to our house. We'd all go to this room, and we'd just put on the newest Ryan Higa video. And, man, that was a good feeling.
Before all these smart TVs and smart fridges, smart cables, we had one computer. That was
one computer in the whole house. Darn kids nowadays, so blessed they don't even know it. But honestly, I think that those days were so nice. Remember, like when we sat in the laundry room and watched the Duck song over and over again?
And then all the parodies of the Duck song too. That was so crazy.
You know, life is really good. You gotta experience it and smile about it. You know, I know that half of this episode was like actually insightful, but the second half of this, I know we kind of just went on.
Bro, I guarantee you, people are gonna enjoy that second half more than they enjoyed the first half.
Yeah, sometimes enjoy your life a little bit, man. Just be a chill guy. Accept that, you know, this is reality. This is life. Sometimes it's not always gonna go according to plan. You know, my event, literally everything hit the wall right away. All our plans, literally, I'd say, after 30 minutes in, everything just gone. 30 minutes into our 3-hour event, boom, we just threw everything out the window and completely rescheduled the whole thing on the fly.
Yeah.
But yet, I'm still not angry. I was a little bit upset because, you know, these people did something that was kind of scummy. I wasn't happy with that. And, you know, it affected me. I didn't perform my best. But at the end of the day, I'm just a chill guy. I'm going to just live with it, right?
Yep.
I'm going to still be happy with it. You know, I think that life becomes a whole lot more fun when you stop taking it so seriously.
Yep. And that's honestly great way to cap off this episode. I think that there's so many insights to be drawn from this. But yeah, like you said, man, it's nostalgia. It's nostalgia. Yeah. It's that happy feeling of old times. To all you people out there who are the same age as us, I'm sure you relate to 99% of it. To all of you who don't relate, you're either way older or way younger. But either way, I guarantee you when you hit a certain age, you're going to be looking back and reflecting on all those happy times you had. So stop being so depressed. Stop being so in your own head. Just be a chill guy and enjoy your life.
Thank you guys so much for sticking around to the end of episode 53. But before you go, I know it's been a while, but you guys still know what time it is. It is time for Quote of the Week. Herm.
Quote of the Week. First time in a while, we are back. It's the possibility of having a dream come true that makes anyone's life worth living. And that's a quote from a man named Paulo Coelho. And he's a Brazilian lyricist and novelist. And now, simple quote, absolutely. We don't got to get super complicated with the wisdom over here every single time. Point is, you're going to have difficult things to achieve. You're going to have crazy out there things to pursue. But you, my friend, are limitless. Don't let other people tell you what you can and can't be. Just be you, bro. Just do what you want to do. Achieve what you got to achieve. And your life will be that much more interesting.
Thank you guys once again for sticking around to the very end of episode 43 of the... 53. Yeah,
there you go.
MB chat. I'm tripping. You know, sometimes I make mistakes too. We fumble, but we get back up. Thank you guys so much for sticking around to the very end of episode 53. We truly appreciate all the support as always. Make sure that you go out there, you surpass your limits, you be better than what they said you could be, and you make sure that you be a chill guy. You know, life isn't so serious. You don't always have to take it so seriously at every possible moment. Reflect on your past, smile about what has happened, and make sure you live a positive life, y'all. Peace out.